I thank you very much, my colleagues. And mine is to take you through what we are doing in Kenya. Our priority in Kenya at the moment is to create sustainable jobs. We have a problem of unemployed youth, and we are really looking for ways and means of creating good jobs. I would like to take this opportunity to thank NAPEC for giving me this chance to come. I'm representing my Director General, and I work with the Department of National Employment Bureau in the Ministry of Labor, Social Security and Services. Of course, what we experience in Kenya is a big youth unemployment problem. Over 40% of the youth that are eligible for jobs are not employed. And my area of concentration here will be the programs and measures we have put in place to create jobs. And of course, I will touch on what we are doing to export labor. Our current government is very keen on creating jobs. And because of that, even His Excellency, the President, has asked the members of Parliament to make sure that they have pushed through the National Employment Bureau, the National Employment Policy, so that it can be a sessional paper that can be implement the strategies and the programs that are in that plan. That national plan is to make sure that is addressing comprehensively the problem of unemployment. It is our hope that through the implementation of those strategies and programs in that plan will go a long way to address the employment problem. So let me speak briefly about the measures the government has taken to create jobs. Some of these measures actually are addressing the problem of employability. Our youth, most of them have gone through education. They have very good skills, but they need experience. They need to be adaptable to the work conditions. So there is that problem of adaptability and that problem of work experience. So we intend to create jobs as much as also to make sure that our youth have the skills, knowledge, and the competencies that will enable them get jobs. So the following are the key measures the government has taken to address specific employment needs of the young people. And these are just deliberate attempts to make sure that the youth have these capacities I've talked about, the capacities and knowledge and skills to make them employable and even for job creation. One of the measures the government has taken is a program we call Access to Government Opportunities Program. This is a program that is a deliberate affirmative action to address the needs of the vulnerable persons. The vulnerable groups are those disadvantaged. They include the youth, the women, and the people with disabilities. So the government has initiated this affirmative action that will ensure us that 30% of all government procurement, the government is the largest single procurer of goods and services. And therefore, it has decided to give 30% of its procurement. Every ministry, every state department will make sure that the youth, with the women and the persons with disabilities, they get at least 30% of procurement. This is a lot of money in terms of what the government procures every year. These billions of dollars. And those who will participate, of course, this one, the aim of those people, the aim of this program is to create employment, wealth, and make sure that the country attains economic growth for Vision 2030. Of course, there is a qualification criteria for these people, or these groups, to access this money, for this, to procure these services. They have to meet some qualification criteria, they have to be registered, they have to have the right documents. I think I will not touch much on that one. This program, procurement program, is going to be closely monitored by the government agencies concerned. And as I told you, that the president is very keen on the success of this program. And the president himself has signed a performance contract with every cabinet secretary to make sure that every ministry is implementing this directive. So the ministry concerned to monitor performance contracts of every government department is the Ministry of Devolution and Planning. They will be monitoring and making sure that every ministry, every government ministry, every government department is implementing and meeting this objective of the government to make sure that 30% of procurement is given to these groups of people. And we are intending to, the main reason is to make our economy grow, and there are sectors that are targeted to benefit from this program. Our youth in Kenya have really managed to acquire knowledge in ICT. This is information communication technology. And this sector is going to benefit because the youth, they will use these skills to invest. Most of the youths in Kenya, they are investing in business processing outsourcing. And we are expecting more of these youths to venture into businesses of ICT. And of course, we also expect that small businesses, we call them micro enterprise businesses, will benefit. Actually, the micro enterprise businesses is the largest employer in Kenya. Most of the jobs created every year come from the small micro enterprises. 80% of the jobs created every year. So the micro enterprises and the ICT sectors, we are expected to create more jobs on this. Okay, we have another program. This program is, as I said, is to create that capacity to enable the youth to acquire the skills and experiences to make them employable. So we call it a training and internship program. This youth and training and internship program, this is part of the broader 4-year program, and it is sponsored it's jointly sponsored by the government and the World Bank. We are expecting to train over 11,000 youth in this 4-year training program, and to ensure that the program is a success, of course, the government has identified an agency which is called Kenya Private Sectors Alliance. Kenya Private Sector Alliance is a group, a collection of companies, private companies that have come together to protect their interests. And the government is using this Kenya Private Sector Alliance to make sure that this internship program is a success. So the program targets the youth, and they have a training cycle which runs for 6 months. And the way it is carried is that 50% of the training time is carried by one employer, and after that, 50% is provided by another provider to train this group. Very young people are also trained by the informal sector. We have, for example, 15 to 17 young people, those who have finished primary standard 8. Most of them, they cannot go to this normal internship program. They also go to the informal sector, where they can also learn skills, other skills, like artisan skills, craft skills, through apprenticeship. So we have this one, and that is how it is operating. Of course, the duration of training is 6 months, and the sectors that have been identified to train, where these young people train, are mainly what I mentioned, the key sectors: information communication technology, manufacturing, and micro small enterprises. These are the sectors that are mostly to train, but there are also other sectors like energy, finance, tourism. Those are also sectors that absorb this youth. Okay, as I said, the young people are trained in the formal sector, and the government has a program to train what we call master craftsmen, who are trained, who are being trained to mentor these young people. And the program is to train them in major cities, that is Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kisumu. These craftsmen will be trained there, so that they can be able to train this. Okay, I think program number 3. I think this is the latest government initiative. Is we call Uwezo Fund. Uwezo is a Kiswahili name for empowerment. So Uwezo Fund is targeting the youth and the women, and it came from what the president gave when they were making a pledge during the election period. But I think it was not empty politics. Now it has become very true, because already the program has been launched, the Uwezo Fund has been launched, and now it has started working. Objectives of this OWESO fund is to make sure that the women and the youth, they access the funds. Of course, this money was set aside, a lot of money, 6 billion Kenya shillings. This is also a couple million of dollars to make sure that, because we didn't have a re-election, we didn't have a rerun. So the money was set aside. That money was set aside. Now it is the money that is being used to make sure that the women and the youth are using that money to start businesses. The aim is to make sure that these youth and women, they get their businesses, they start enterprises, small enterprises, like the one now we have talked about making sure that they can be able to supply goods and services to government departments and agencies. So they will get this money and then start these businesses. The money is interest-free. This is one of the way of motivating this youth and women to come for it. And it has got also even a grace period of 6 months. So this is interest-free and a grace period of 6 months. So I think after 2.5 years, someone will be able to pay, and is paying without interest. So that is how it is. And the last project or program the government has in place to help the youth is the labor export scheme. And the Kenya government is, of course, is working with private employment agencies. The private employment agencies are the ones that, just like ANAPEC. Yeah, and I was very keen to listen to ANAPEC, because ANAPEC may become our consultants, because they are more experienced, I think, in this area. We are happy that they have gone a bit far, and they can help us to manage this especially export scheme. So we have this scheme, and we have a couple of private employment agencies, and we use this to export labor. In other words, we are assisting these young people to go outside the country to access jobs. So most of our destination countries is Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Lebanon, Afghanistan, and Iraq, where they need also, as you need truck drivers, transporters, and others. We also send domestic workers and other skills. So this scheme, apart from reducing unemployment, we are hoping that it will also make sure that there is a lot of economic growth in terms of money that is being remitted to our country, and even the transfer of technology. Of course, we have challenges. This scheme has challenges, and one of the challenges that we have some recruitment agencies that are not registered. Though the Ministry of Labor, we do register them, and we make sure that we validate, we look at the contracts that have been signed between our young people and the employment agencies or the employers. The Ministry of Labor makes sure that the contracts are right, are appropriate, they give appropriate wages and other conditions of service. But since there is a challenge, because some youth try to sneak without going through the government channels. And that is why some of them end up getting a lot of problems when they are outside there. But generally, that is a major area where we get our youth get employment. I think we have more, but I think in summary, that is what we do. I think another challenge, of course, what we need to do is there is some conditions in the informal sector where I've mentioned that 80% of the informal sector employ our people. The conditions are really bad, but the government is working to make sure that through the national employment policy that the conditions are good. And I think with that, I thank you very much.